I feel like it starts from feeling into what you like what already works for you. Because if
Mm.
you're not drawn to aerial yoga, but you really like walking or you really like being in water, go in the direction that your body wants to go and listen to that.
Welcome, guys. Welcome back to the Darren Well Podcast. My guest today is Joanna Stewart. She goes by Jo, but Jo is the author of 8 Limbs of Aerial Yoga, and she's also got the book displayed in her background so you can see what that looks like. And she's the founder and the lead teacher of Garden of Yoga, where she's been teaching yoga for 20 years. And she's also the co-host of the Flow Artist podcast. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear her share more about how to embrace wellness and yoga with gentle movement. So again, thank you so much, Joanna, for joining the Darren Well podcast. Welcome again, Jo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Rita. It's so great to talk to you, and it's such an honor to be on your show. I love what you're doing for women and the energy that you're putting out in the world, so really happy to be a part of that.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. And also forget to say, Jo is joining us from Australia. So hello to my brothers and sisters over there in Australia. Awesome. So before we get into our talk today, Jo, can you share a little bit more about your why? What inspired you 20 years ago to start the Garden of Yoga? What inspired you to start to write your book, and what inspired you to start the Garden of Yoga?
So I guess I was really lucky because my very first experiences of yoga were actually when I was quite young. I was 6 and I went to a painting class, a sumi-e painting class, which is like ink brush painting, and it's very influenced by Zen philosophy. And my teacher was also a yoga teacher. So I had this introduction to yoga and meditation just as a really young kid, and that's always been like a connection between art and yoga for me. And when I was about 18, I was at art school, and it was a bit of an intense time because I've always loved art. I've always been creative, and there's never been pressure around it until I went to art school. And then suddenly there was so much pressure around it. So I just started going to yoga, I guess, as a self-care practice, just something I was checking out. And I found it was really helpful. Like the art style I was studying was printmaking. So it's quite a lot of like little intensive movements if you're carving a lino cut, or a lot of cleaning up as well, like etching plates, just a lot of those movements that make your neck and your shoulders really tired when you've realized you've been hunched over for hours. So yoga helped on a physical level, like it helped me feel good in my body. It kind of helped my brain, like it helped me get out of my own way creativity wise. It helped me connect with my breath, and like I loved it.
Wow.
And yeah, thank you. Like at the time, I thought, oh, I'll be an artist. That's what I love. And maybe yoga can be like my fulfilling day job, like something I can do, not full time, but like in conjunction with my art. But I actually realized that my life would be a lot happier if I actually taught yoga as my vocation and did art for fun rather than, yoga on the side, art as my full-time thing. And I still do that. Like I still make stuff. I still make art. But I actually have realized how much yoga teaching can be about creativity and can be about getting in that flow state with people, and it tapped into a lot of that stuff in my brain. Even just the process of adapting a practice for different bodies is a creative flow, and the collaborative process of working that out with someone else. So yeah, like I love that aspect of it, and it's a little bit about the name of my business as well. Like the idea of Garden of Yoga is like we all need different things to grow and thrive, but we could do that together like plants in a garden, even though we're all kind of growing in our own ways. And that's what makes the garden beautiful.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So you started yoga at a very young age. What age did you say you started?
So I did that painting class that I still go to actually when I was 6.
That's crazy.
And then I started going to like yoga classes on the mat when I was about 18. And then aerial yoga, I actually discovered in my late 20s on a holiday to San Francisco. And I just like to take little yoga adventures when I go away, and it looked cool. So just that feeling of like being in the hammock and floating and like going upside down and all of it. Like, I loved it. And I
So
just had
can you
this.
share more about what is aerial yoga
Oh, yeah.
for people that don't know?
Good question. So if you've been to the circus and you see the silks, that's
Mhm.
two pieces of fabric that hang down. What aerial yoga is one of those fabrics looped in half. So each end attaches up high. You can hang the bottom part of the loop at hip height, which is the right height for inversions. If you want to get into the hammock, wrap your legs around in it and hang upside down. But you can also bring it low to the floor. So knee height or ankle height off the floor. And then you can use it for restorative poses. So maybe you just have your feet in the fabric as your legs sway from side to side. Or maybe you have your legs and your hips in the fabric, and that can feel like an amazing lower back release. You use it in a way that you might use a bolster in restorative yoga, but because it's fabric that can move and float, there's all these other possibilities for relaxation, especially for bodies that aren't necessarily relaxed in stillness, because it means that you've just got this ability to like flow with the fabric and feel supported, but you don't have to be still. Like, you have that freedom to move. I also use it both to support balance. So this is back when the hammock's up at about hip height, which is a great height to wrap around your arms and shoulders for people who need some extra balance support, especially if we're doing standing on one leg moves or even things like lunges. You can use it to take the pressure off your knees and your legs if that's something that you need personally. Or you could put one leg in the fabric, and then it's this whole new balance challenge as you're standing, because one foot's on the floor, one leg's in the hammock. You have to work your stability in different ways. And I can do both those things in the same class. So the person who needs
Wow.
extra support can have the hammock in one position. The person who's ready for another challenge can have a different setup. And even within that, there's lots of different ways that you can kind of give people the opportunity to challenge themselves or to find like more support, more cocooning, more comfort and ease, and give
Yeah.
people the ability to work out what they need on that day for themselves. Like, that's what I love about the practice. It can be so self-directed, but we can still have that group energy of everyone practicing together.
That's cool. That's cool. And I love how you can individualize it within such a group type setting. So thinking about myofascial, and so I'm thinking about like the being in the hammock, the silks kind of stretching you out and allowing you to flow. Like, talk about like what is myofascial and how is that beneficial when you think about yoga, when you think about the body, when you think about the muscles, like break that down. Like, what is myofascia?
Yeah, absolutely. So myofascia, it basically means muscles and fascia is connective tissue. So each muscle fiber is wrapped in connective tissue. They're bundled together in more connective tissue. They're attached, like the ends of the muscle, whether it attaches to a bone or to another muscle, with more connective tissue. And then that's the myofascia, the muscle and the connective tissue. We have other layers of fascia in our body as well. We've got like a big glove that covers our whole body, couple of layers of that with fat in between. Our nerves are held in more fascia, more connective tissue. Our organs are supported by fascia, by connective tissue. So it kind of holds everything together. And it is responsive to a lot of different factors. If we're dehydrated, our fascia might be more sticky, and that might cause restricted movement. If there's an area in the body where there's pain, our body obviously has a message to protect that area. So the connective tissue around that area might become denser and tighter, just protecting that vulnerable point. If we work out, if our muscles get stronger, the connective tissue also responds to that and they get stronger, which is a positive thing, but it might also mean that that area of the body starts to feel more tight, especially like the next day afterwards. So the way that we want to work with our connective tissues is to encourage like gliding, sliding action. So sometimes the movement of feeling supported in the hammock, like there's this pose called cocoon pose, where you're literally lying in it like a hammock, but you can gently move from side to side. If you've arrived with like pain or tension in your body and your connective tissues are responding to that and kind of tensing up to protect an area that feels vulnerable, to be able to move in a way that feels safe and fluid and supportive really sends that message to those tissues that it's okay to relax and to find that glide and that slide again. When we work in the hammock as well, it's a little bit similar to how if you're using a spiky ball or like a rubber ball or a foam roller, you might use that on your fascia if you do like a rolling action. And there's lots of different schools of thought as to what we're actually achieving. So some people say it's like literally about gliding those layers, using a bit of traction with that. Other people say that it's really just working with the nervous system. And we're just using our nervous system to send a message that it's okay to kind of let go of a bit of that gripping and holding in that particular area. I don't think it matters. I think that what you're feeling in your body is a good guide. Like sometimes it's great to have science and to have evidence-based research, but also if it's something that you're feeling in your body and it's working for you, does it matter if it's coming from your nervous system or if it's coming from like a direct physiological action on the fascia itself? Like you're looking for the outcome, right? Like you're looking to feel better.
And sometimes,
yeah. So more feeling into your body can sometimes be a better shortcut than analyzing and listening to a lot of other people's opinions about what might be going on.
Yeah, because you know your body better than anybody else. You know when it hurts and you know when something's new, you know when it feels tight, all those different things. So learning to tune in your body, learning to drink more water. I love drinking water. Many times I will drink water and I will infuse it with some kind of fruit. So this morning I've got it in, well, still this afternoon, still drinking on the same thing because I refilled it, but just like a piece of pineapple. So now it like tastes sweet without me having to add sugar to it. And then I've got chia seeds in it. So it also helps to kind of boost digestion and like all the other vitamins that are tied into chia seeds. So yeah, I definitely am huge about drinking my water, but now I know like there's great benefits of doing that. So thank you for breaking that down. As we think about the nervous system, so you talked about that. Can you talk about more about like what are some benefits when you think about the aerial yoga? What are some benefits for the nervous system? What are some benefits for the sensory processing? Ways to again fill into the body?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like this is the magic of this practice. Like this is why the hammock can sometimes do things that yoga on the mat doesn't work quite as well for everybody's unique system. Like I do work with a lot of people who have PTSD, who have anxiety, and also people who have chronic pain in their bodies. So what the hammock can do is it can be like this soft, supportive cocoon that it feels safer to relax into than the floor does sometimes. I actually had someone in my class and it was the relaxation time, and I gave an option for like a supported lying down in the hammock pose or a supported sitting in the hammock pose. And so in that shape, the feet are on the ground, you have this enclosing fabric that gives you that something you can rest into, but it's translucent. So you can see a little bit of what's happening in the world if you want to, or even open it up a little bit more if you want to see more. But you also very much have the sense of being in your own space. And for her personally, it was what she needed. She told me
safe.
Yeah, she told me afterwards that like lying on the floor with her eyes closed was a very vulnerable position for her, and she never felt relaxed in that position in a room with other people. But to have like her little, it's called womb pose actually. So to have this like womb of support from the fabric, the ability to look out if she needed to, but also to have that space that she could just be with herself within, even in a room of other people, helped her find like that feeling of safety in her body that allowed her nervous system to downregulate and to find that meditation and relaxation in her mind. I know for other people as well that stillness can sometimes be a trigger. It can trigger a freeze response in the body. So if you were in a mat-based class and you were moving around a lot at relaxation time and other people were being still, I know that people have sometimes flagged that as being a distraction for if someone nearby is like moving a lot and maybe the person themselves who wants to move feels like it's not appropriate to do so. So it's not a comfortable and relaxed situation to make yourself be still if your body wants to move. In the hammock setting, everyone is spaced out through the room. Everyone's in their own hammock. You don't even know if the person beside you is moving. Like, they can gently sway, they can gently move, they could even, the hammock's low, push off the ground and swing a little bit.
Like a little kid.
And actually that swinging action is a soothing vestibular input for most people's vestibular systems. It's like how rocking chairs work. So a gentle forward and back movement tends to be a soothing movement. And that's another way that we can work with our nervous system with the hammock. Yeah, so I might just do a little quick explanation of how I understand the vestibular system. It's in the inner ear. It regulates our physical balance, and it can also regulate our emotional balance. And so especially neurodivergent brains, but I actually think everyone's brain has a different level of sensory input that helps them regulate. So for some people, it's soothing actions, like that gentle swaying action, that feeling of being held and supported. For some people need like vestibular stimulating, like sensory stimulating movements to feel regulated. So that could be upside down. That could be unstable movements where you need to work to keep your balance. For a lot of people, I'm one of them, that helps you feel really steady mentally to like find that balanced state. Spinning movement is also possible in the hammock, and that's also a vestibular seeking movement that many people feel more regulated after being able to do that movement. The hammock also provides the opportunity for deep pressure. So I find a lot of my autistic clients really love the feeling of like, it's like a really tight hug, or like a weighted blanket could be another way that people might have experienced it. So there's moves that you can do where the hammock kind of holds you really tight. And so you feel the fabric pushing into you from all angles. And for some people, like, that's what makes them feel really calm, like that deep pressure feeling. So it's a way to work with these different sensory inputs, and as you do it more, you more and more like feel what you need. Like, I've got some people who come in and as soon as they get there, they want to hang upside down because that's what helps them feel re-energized after their day. And I've got other people who just don't go upside down at all because, like, if you've got a really sensitive vestibular system, like, it might make you feel nauseated. If you get a lot of motion sickness, sometimes upside down isn't good. So it's a very individual thing. And even stuff like how much sleep you've had, how much stress you've had in your day and your week, that's what you work with in your practice. And that might affect what your body needs to feel like balanced and regulated and to feel good. Because I feel like experiencing pleasure in our bodies is super powerful. And I do want to give people the opportunity to feel good in class as much as I can.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. How long are your classes? Are they like an hour long session? Like, how long does those sessions last? Because I'm thinking, ooh, I had a stressful day. I might need 2 hours. Like, how does that work when they book for you?
Different lengths. So my standard class is an hour. I've got like a Friday lunchtime class, which is only 45 minutes. But then I've got a Friday evening class, which is an hour and 15 minutes. And the last 15 minutes is meditation, relaxation time in the hammock. And that's a restorative class. I've also done sound workshops in collaboration with another, like a sound musician who like brings her singing bowls and moves around the hammock so you can feel the sound vibrations, and that's really beautiful. Just another note on sound. I actually am super excited about the sound that I have in my studio right now. I've got a device called the Plant Wave. So it reads the electrical signals within the plant leaves. Like, you put 2 electrodes in it, and that makes a sound wave that goes to my phone, and then I can choose instruments that play it out. So all the music in my classes is like my plants singing their song.
That is so cool. Truly Garden of Yoga. Oh my God.
Truly. Yeah, I unsubscribed from Spotify and subscribed to plants.
That is wild. That's so cool.
I love it.
Heck yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And so it sounds like yoga is great for anybody and everybody at any stage of life. especially the neurodivergent that is really sensitive to sounds and movement and like all those different pieces, sensory input pieces. And so I love that you broke that down for everybody. That's awesome.
Can I add another reason why? I just remembered about the people
Sure.
working with PTSD, and this is actually great for people who are working with body image issues as well. Like interoception is one of the senses that can be down regulated if someone has PTSD. Like often the focus is very much on hypervigilance on the world around them for safety reasons.
Mm.
So it can be really challenging to feel what's happening within the body. Also, because for some people, like feeling into their body might feel really intense, it might be difficult, it might be triggering. And that's a lot of what we ask people to do in our yoga practice. When the hammock is there, it's like this in between layer. So if feeling into your body doesn't feel safe or comfortable, you might be able to feel into the fabric and to feel into the movement with the fabric. And I've found for a lot of people, that's a level that does feel safe and that does feel interesting and can be a bridge into more interoceptive practices, or you can also retreat back out to that level. So I always give the option, if I am inviting someone to feel into their bodies, to also, as another option, to feel into the fabric or to feel into the floor. So it's like this in-between layer of awareness that's still present moment awareness, but can often just be a lot more helpful than that direct in the body focus. And that's what I've actually found is like thing that is what makes this practice uniquely helpful for people who are working with those kind of challenges.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because like safety is this weird thing that whether you've experienced trauma or whether you're just super hyper vigilant with anxiety, like you're just always like on edge or on guard. And so I love that you said that because there is different ways that we need to find grounding in our own space, in our own environment. And so I love that you're helping people to learn that in the studio space, but also they can transfer that to their workspace, their home space. And so that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Joe. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's also like if it's hard for someone to feel into their bodies and that's what the teacher is asking them to do, often you feel like a failure and you feel like you can't do yoga because you're not able to do this really fundamental thing that people keep talking about. So the
And it feels
last
like
thing
a
I would
foreign concept for so many people to
Yeah.
feel into the body.
Yeah.
What do you mean? When I do body scans, they're like, what is that? How do I do that? I don't know how I feel. I just feel tense all over. Okay. Where? I'll just all over. Like it's hard to feel into the body. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and if life is hard, you want your yoga practice to be like your soft landing.
Mm, yeah, it should be. Yeah, your safe space, your soft landing, especially with aerial yoga.
Yeah, no hard landings.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking like, man, what would I fall? Is there opportunities of people like falling with aerial yoga? Is
So
it safe?
actually, the poses that I am the most cautious around, if I know someone has issues with their balance, or say if I'm working with an older client who might have bone density issues, it's actually the poses where you're putting one leg in the hammock that tend to be the ones where people are most likely to lose their balance. And like sometimes with those types of poses, I actually work people up to them with a lot of other more stable balance challenges where if they lose their balance, they will not fall because the hammock is holding them, going to like less and less of that before I go to those one leg poses where, sometimes I might have to help someone with those ones. Like sometimes you just need that third hand to like navigate the fabric around their foot if they're okay with that level of help. Or maybe if it's my first time working with someone and I have those concerns about their balance or their well-being, I just don't do any of those poses. With the upside down ones, it's generally set up so that you are very supported. Like the hammock is in a position where you'd have to have like a leg in the wrong spot to fall out.
Oh,
And
okay.
if there's a situation like that, I'll work that pose low to the ground first. So there's one where the fabric's around your hips and then you wrap your legs around it. And that's like a basic inversion. And you can make that muscle memory low to the floor where your head and your shoulders and your upper body stay on the floor and you're just practicing wrapping the legs around in the correct way. And then you kind of pull yourself up like a little seesaw, like you unhook your feet and you lower your legs down and you bring your upper body up. And I practice that action a lot as well so that people can be confident in their grip strength to pull themselves up, have the muscle memory of how to wrap their legs around the fabric, and have that counterbalance feeling of how they get out all in their body before we take it up to hip height. Because as well as there being a safety concern, it's actually more for their own peace of mind. Because if you're trying to figure out something new and you're up in the air, there's like an extra layer of stress and pressure to that learning process. Whereas if you're down on the floor, you know you're not going to fall. You're already on the floor. You can just focus on learning the movement. And then it's just that extra little step to bring it up high. So as much as I can, I try and teach moves like that in a foundational level where it's simple and it's safe, and then add on the challenges as people feel like excited and ready for that. And often those people will be in a class with other people who've been coming for longer, so they'll be able to see where it could go. And if they've safely executed it from the floor on that day, then I'll offer, like, do you want to try it up high? And sometimes I'll be like, yeah. And then other times I'll be like, not today, but maybe next week.
Gotcha. That's cool. That's cool that people can go at their own pace.
Yeah, I guess it's also
strength.
a bit of a home studio privilege because I only have 6 people in my classes. So it's a lot more doable to like gives people the space to do their own thing and work at their own pace when I'm only keeping track of 6 people versus like I used to teach at a gym and have 22 people in an aerial yoga class, and that was just a whole different experience.
So lots of not necessarily hand holding, but just like a lot of intimate, supportive care. Sounds like you give with your yoga studio.
That's definitely, I want people to feel supported, and I want people to feel like I'm right there if they need me. And then over time, as they know the movements more, as they know their bodies more, they need me less and less. So if there's a newer person in class, I can kind of focus on the newer person, and my more experienced people, they tend to just hang out longer in the pose. Or maybe they work some different variations that they like to do. So more and more autonomy as you're more and more familiar with that practice.
That's awesome. Well, cool. As we start to wrap up, Jo, what are some words of wisdom or even maybe mindset blocks that people can use, mindset strategies that they can get over mindset blocks when you think about leaning into like gentle movement, aerial yoga? Yeah, so what are some practical steps people can take today?
I feel like it starts from feeling into what you like what already works for you. Because if you're not drawn to aerial yoga, but you really like walking or you really like being in water, go in the direction that your body wants to go and listen to that. And then the other thing that I find can be really helpful is to have a buddy. So I've got some friends, this started during lockdown times, where you're allowed to go for an exercise walk every day. In my city, you're allowed to leave your house for an hour and go for a walk. So I do a walk and talk with a friend. So having that walk on my phone, getting out of my house, that was really helpful for my mental health. I actually really love going to the pool as well, swim and spa and sauna. So I think to shift exercise from something that you feel like you should do or something that feels like a chore that you're doing because it's good for you, not because it's something you actually want to do, into feeling into, okay, how do I like to move my body? Do I like to dance? Do I like to walk?
Making it fun.
Yeah. And then just kind of leveling it up a little bit. So maybe if you like to dance, doing a dance fitness video from YouTube or going to a dance class, finding a community is awesome. Because then you also have the nervous system benefits from being in a room with other people and moving in rhythm with other people, no matter what type of exercise that you're doing. You've got that commitment, because I'm someone, if I've paid for the term, I'm going to go to the class to get my value.
Yeah.
And then you've got all those factors working for you, because I think it's cool to do stuff at home that you can do for yourself. But it's really easy to mentally reschedule that later and later in the day and then not end up doing it. But if you've booked in with your friend for your walk and talk or booked in for your class, like you've scheduled that time in your day,
And
you're just more likely to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about myofascial. So how can people do that today to help their body?
So I do have a little PDF download that I'll give you the link for. And this is a self-directed practice. And actually, if you get to the end of the day and you haven't had any time to do anything for yourself, highly recommend some myofascial release, some self-massage. You do this practice lying on the floor with a ball. I give you a little map, all the different places around your shoulders where you put the ball. I set a timer on my phone for each place. I usually leave it there for 2 minutes. But if that doesn't vibe with you, like you could put on music that you like and just do it based on the music. And that's actually a great way to help you get in the zone for a self-care practice, to set the scene with music. And sometimes if we've had like tension and stress in our day, like you might notice there are places in your body where that stays. Even
for me, it's always my shoulders. I'm always tight in my shoulders from stress. And so when I go get a massage, like my shoulders and my back is so tight.
So yeah, having that moment at the end of your day to release some of those areas. Then when you go to bed, you have that nervous system down-regulating benefit from the massage. So that helps you sleep. But I also feel like if you're going to sleep with the muscles relaxed, it's like that sets the scene. And then when you wake up the next day, you won't have been sleeping in this like tense position. You will have like slept in a relaxed way. And so when you wake up the next morning, like maybe you've repatterned some of the habits within those muscles and you wake up feeling more relaxed as well.
Yeah. So what types of balls can they use?
Any type. So tennis ball is a good place to start. I have like softer, smaller rubber balls that aren't official myofascial release balls. I think people buy them to throw for their dogs. They're called high bounce balls. Some people use the cross balls. I feel like that's too hard for my body. Like that doesn't feel comfy for me. I also wouldn't use a spiky ball on your shoulders. Like I feel like that's a little bit too big in terms of the pressure. I like something smaller and softer and more targeted. So you could go to a toy store and like feel the balls and see if there's one that you respond to. And if you're like a visual person as well, maybe you can get one in a pretty color. Maybe you already have something in your house, especially if you have kids, that you could start with. And then that gives you a good sense of like, oh yeah, that was good, but I want it to be a little bit smaller so it could be a bit more targeted, or bigger if you want less intensity because it's a more spread out pressure. Softer as well can also be helpful. A muscle has a protection response. So if you push a tender spot really hard, sometimes that muscle will tense up more because it's protecting itself. But if you go a little softer and maybe like breathe with it and stay longer, sometimes you can actually get a deeper level of release because your body feels safe to let go.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing some cool tips that people can use today. So what are ways that people can connect with you if they want to go deeper with the aerial yoga and just ways to use gentle movement in their self-care practices? What are the ways you best serve?
Oh, thank you. So I actually do have a lot of online classes in my library on my website. So if you want to practice with me, but you're not here in Australia, I have aerial yoga in the library, but I also have a lot of self-massage classes. I do a class called Nurturing Yoga and Pilates, which is basically Pilates props like the foam roller, but like yoga sensibility. So it's not so much an abs workout. It's more listen to your body and do what feels right for you. Yeah, and I do have like membership for my library. I do Zoom classes as well. So if the time zone works out, you could practice with me online. All of that's on gardenofyoga.com.au. You can listen to some of my conversations on the Flow Artist podcast. And from April, you could buy my book called 8 Limbs of Aerial Yoga. So if you are interested in aerial yoga, that would be amazing. I'd be so grateful.
Awesome. So the book will be released in April, you said?
Yeah, April 21. So it's available for pre-order now.
Wow. Right around the corner. Okay, great way to get a jump start on your summer body. Heck yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Jo, for joining the Darren Well podcast. So grateful for you to share all the tips and breaking down some of the complex things when you think about like ways to tune into your body, especially myofascial. I've always been so like mystified by like what is fascia, like what is that and how does it protect and help our body, but also why is it sometimes out of, I don't know, out of alignment. And so thank you for breaking those things down today. So grateful. So grateful.
My pleasure, and thank you for your lovely questions, and thank you for having me on on your show.
Absolutely. So glad to have you. And if I'm ever in Australia, I'm definitely going to look you up.
Thanks, Rita.
Thank you. All right, wellness friends, that's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by the Darren Well podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you hear this episode. Wishing you a fabulous day, my dear. Until next time, keep living, keep loving, and keep daring well. Take care, guys. God bless.